Overall, some more Nintendo Switch news is dropped, and the fact that the Nintendo Switch is supposedly going to be working with Vulkan 1.1, OpenGL 4.5, OpenGL ES 3.2 on the console system. Now, Digital Foundry and Eurogamer have discovered some other stuff about it, uncovering information about the hardware. It will apparently use the Tegra X1, which is based around the second generation Maxwell architecture. That is underclocked from what we can see in the Shield TV. When docked, the GPU will be able to reach 768 MHz on the 256 CUDA cores. When undocked, it will drop down to 307 MHz. Although the system utilizes this mode while docked as well. This puts the performance at 315 G-flops when in mobile and pushing up to 785 G-flops when docked. You might compare this to the Xbox One that runs at 1,300 G-flops, and the PlayStation 4 which runs at 1,840 G-flops. This puts the Nintendo Switch somewhere behind it, although the difference is even greater than that. The flop calculations on the Sony and Microsoft is 2 times the shader counts times frequency, but the calculations of the Nintendo Switch is the 4 times shader count and frequency. The FAM is the factor of 2, but the extra factor of 2 in Nintendo's case. I believe it calculates at 16 flops versus 32. It kind of reminds me of when PlayStation's head guy was like, oh, well, when we put it at a 16-bit floating point, we have 8 teraflops of power. But then if you put it at 32, 4 teraflops, but whatever. I'm not exactly a mathematician nor a computer science genius. I jerk off to very random pornography. Hello, my name is Chaz, and I'm an alcoholic. Reducing this shader precision down to 16 bits is common for mobile devices. It takes less transistors to store and translate half the precision values, and accumulated error will be muted by the fact that you are viewing this on a mobile screen. The Switch isn't always a mobile device though, so it would be interesting to see how this reduction of lighting and shader processing will affect the game on your home TV, especially in titles that do not follow Nintendo's art style. That said, shaders could use 32-bit values, but when you are cutting your performance for those instructions in half, when you have already somewhat beyond your competitors, when you are already somewhat behind your competitors. As for the loss of performance when undocked, it shouldn't be too much of an issue if Nintendo pressures developers to hit 1080p when docked. If that's the case, the lower resolution of 720p mobile screen will roughly scale with the difference in clock. Lastly, there is a bunch of questions surrounding Nintendo's choice of operating systems. It's being developed by Nintendo, but no one has any idea of what they forked it from. Nvidia supports the Tegra and both Android and Linux. It would be legal for Nintendo to fork either one, and Nintendo could have just asked for drivers even if Nvidia didn't already support the platform. Alright, so judging from this, Nvidia is taking last generation SoC Tegra. Most people denounce it as being one of the crappier versions. I wouldn't know much about it as I took no interest in it. And I will say Maxwell is fairly dated by today's standards, obviously. Now I'm not quite sure if Nintendo has a deal with Nvidia for this, or if they're getting them by other means, which would be weird. I don't even know why they wouldn't go for something more up to date. The Nintendo Switch will have 4 cores, ARM Cortex A57. Theoretical max is 2 GHz. Not too bad. I mean, considering like PlayStation and PlayStation Pro is only knocking less than 2 GHz. Let's see, the GPU we've already said was 256 CUDA cores with a theoretical max of 1 GHz. The architecture is obviously the second generation Maxwell. Texture 16 pixel cycle, we've been through that. 14.4 pixel cycles for the fill. Memory 4 GB. Memory bandwidth 25.6 GB, and the RAM is shared. Storage is 32 GB. Max transfer rate 400 MB. USB 2.0 and 3.0 possibility. Rendering output 1080p 60 while docked 720p, maybe 30 undocked. Displays at 6.2 inches, ISP LCD 1280 by 720. Judging from all the information that has become readily available to the public through leaks and so on and so forth, it is become quite clear to many who speculate about the Switch that it is no more than a modified Nvidia Shield, really. When you look deeper on the Nvidia Shield, it's something I didn't take too much interest in because I figured if I was going to game on my PC, I was going to game on my PC. But when you look at the Nvidia Shield tablet version, it's strikingly similar to the Nintendo Switch and what that's going to be like currently. Now, at first I assumed the Switch was based on the Nvidia Shield that was handheld, but the screen was far too small. It looks like it's leaning much closer to the tablet version. As far as size goes and the width of the tablet and the Nintendo Switch, the evidence is very clear. There might be slight tweaks here and there, obviously for the controller docking ports and so on, but this seems to be the only logical conclusion that I can surmise from what is readily available to me right now. Although, what do you think? Is this something you'd possibly jump on? I mean, frankly, I know that my subscriber base is predominantly PC gamers, so this doesn't pertain to them as much. And for me, if I were interested in Nintendo and only finding out that they were going for an Nvidia Shield and not exactly the best version, I wouldn't be that stoked. Also, a 4-core versus the 8-core CPUs of the PlayStation and Xbox. And when you look at it again from another realistic standpoint as far as enjoyment in the future, unless you have a great deal of disposable income, the Nintendo Switch doesn't seem that viable. I know, this might piss some people off, but hear me out. With the Xbox Scorpio coming out, and the PlayStation Pro already out, the Nintendo Switch lags far behind its competitors. And frankly, if they are back in with third-party developers, which seems to be the case, would you really go with the Switch over a Scorpio or a Pro? Especially the Scorpio, considering if, Skyrim does come out for the Switch, because the trailer showed Skyrim on the Switch, but Bethesda has outwardly said, it's not confirmed to be coming out to Switch, which kind of is stupid. But, I would guess it's coming. If you had to choose between Skyrim on the Switch or Skyrim on, an Xbox or PlayStation, it's almost a no-brainer. The only real selling factor is the portability of this. I don't know really what Nintendo's thinking. Oh well, hopefully it works out for them. Yeah, because frankly, we need as many manufacturers in the business as possible to keep it from becoming a monopoly or just becoming stagnant in design in the gaming industry and so on. Oh well. Well, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe. Thank you as always for tuning into my channel. Don't forget that I now have a second channel. I will change the name of it because it's like, It's a Gundam. I didn't mean for it to happen like that. I wanted to hide my real name on my business email, which was a dumb idea. I wanted to be Turd Ferguson, but YouTube won't let me change it, so I'm just screwed there. Okay. Yeah, I'm out of here. I cannot sell myself. Adios, bichachos.